A head coach doesn't simply vanish in the middle of an international tournament. Coaches don't abandon their own bench unless something serious is happening behind the scenes. Yet that's exactly what unfolded with Kara Lawson, Team USA's head coach during the FIBA World Cup qualifying tournament in Puerto Rico, particularly following the controversial handling of superstar Caitlin Clark. With 3 games still remaining, Lawson was suddenly gone, and Nate Tibbetts, head coach of the Phoenix Mercury, stepped in to run Team USA. The sudden shift immediately raised questions. What changed? What really happened behind closed doors or within the front office discussions? Many began wondering whether Lawson's decisions had deliberately limited Clark's impact. Things became even more intriguing when looking at the original plan for the tournament. That plan placed Caitlin Clark, arguably the most exciting player in women's basketball, in a bench role, with her not starting in 4 out of 5 games. Even in limited minutes during the opening matchup, Clark delivered a historic performance, breaking 5 FIBA qualifying records, including the highest assist total ever recorded by a Team USA debutante. Records that had stood for decades were erased in a single night. Despite that, Lawson returned Clark to the bench in the following game, and the team's offense continued to operate at a slow, deliberate pace. The strategy seemed rooted in a specific philosophy. Stephanie White, Indiana Fever head coach and Team USA assistant, had previously spoken about wanting Clark to slow down, play off the ball, and operate within a more controlled system. The idea was for Clark to fit into the structure rather than build the offense around her. As a result, the offense moved methodically, with veteran guards running half-court sets and possessions stretching deep into the shot clock. The team continued winning, but the explosive energy that typically defines Clark-led teams never materialized. The situation became increasingly puzzling. A player who had just broken multiple records was sitting on the bench while the offense moved at half speed. The starting guards ran lengthy sets, and the team's best transition decision-maker watched from the sidelines. Clark's game thrives on pace and quick reads, often seeing opportunities before defenders can react. Slowing that tempo didn't just limit her effectiveness, it made the entire offense easier to defend, allowing opponents to settle in and disrupt rhythm. Early performances reflected this reality, with the team appearing functional but rarely dynamic. The turning point came against Puerto Rico, where Clark's minutes were reduced even further. Puerto Rico deployed a box-and-one defense specifically designed to neutralize her, and it worked, not because Clark lacked ability, but because the offensive system offered no adjustments. The team looked stagnant, commentators pointed it out, and fans quickly grew frustrated. It was clear to nearly everyone watching that the approach wasn't working. Despite these limitations, reduced minutes, bench role, and restrictive system, Clark still led Team USA in plus-minus and efficiency throughout the tournament. Even more impressive, she topped the entire tournament in both categories, outperforming every player in the field. After the Puerto Rico game, Lawson faced questions about Clark's role during a press conference. Instead of addressing the records or explaining the minutes, Lawson gave a vague response about everyone needing to shine and quickly moved on, offering little clarity. Then came the most surprising development. Lawson suddenly stopped appearing at games altogether. When the next game began, Nate Tibbetts stood on the sideline calling plays and managing the team, while Lawson was nowhere to be seen. There was no official announcement, no press release, and no explanation from USA Basketball. She simply disappeared, leaving Tibbetts, the Phoenix Mercury head coach, to take control, turning an already controversial situation into a full-blown mystery. Nate Tibbetts stepping into that role made the situation even more unusual. He had no official position with Team USA heading into the tournament, so suddenly seeing him holding the clipboard, running huddles, and making substitution decisions raised immediate questions. Coaches don't simply appear on international tournament sidelines without a reason. Someone made that decision behind the scenes, yet USA Basketball offered no public explanation. There was no update on Lawson's status, no statement about the coaching change, and no clarification at all. When an organization becomes that quiet about something so visible, it often suggests the explanation is something they would rather keep private. As expected, the internet quickly began analyzing the situation. Clips were reviewed, timelines were compared, and the sequence of events became difficult to ignore. Lawson disappeared shortly after the Puerto Rico game, following a press conference where she avoided directly addressing Caitlin Clark's role. By that point, the handling of Clark had already become a national conversation, with fans and analysts questioning whether one of the sport's brightest stars was being misused. Rumors soon followed, suggesting USA Basketball recognized the growing controversy and decided to step in before it overshadowed the tournament. Whether the decision was influenced by Clark's record-breaking performance from the bench, the Puerto Rico game, or internal conversations between players and staff, nothing was officially confirmed. Still, the timing made it hard to dismiss the change as coincidence. Tibbetts' first move as acting coach only fueled that perception. In his very first game, he did something Lawson had not done once. He placed Caitlin Clark in the starting lineup. The result was immediate. Team USA defeated New Zealand by 55 points, and the offense looked completely different. Clark played 23 minutes, finishing with 14 points, 6 assists, and 0 turnovers. The pace increased, spacing improved, and the ball moved more freely. Clark pushed the tempo in transition, teammates found open looks early in the shot clock, and the offense finally appeared fluid and confident. With just one coaching change and one lineup adjustment, the team shifted from struggling against defensive schemes to dominating convincingly. The difference wasn't about talent, since the roster remained unchanged. The only real shift was the system. Clark thrives in a fast-paced environment built on quick reads and transition opportunities, and Tibbetts embraced that style immediately. After the game, he also addressed Clark's role directly, outlining a guard-heavy approach featuring Clark alongside Kelsey Plum and Paige Buchers. He emphasized ball movement, spacing, and pace, all elements that suited Clark's strengths. His comments reflected confidence in Clark's ability and a clear commitment to building around her playmaking. While USA Basketball never officially stated that Lawson's departure was related to Clark's usage, Tibbetts' immediate adjustments told a compelling story. Taking over mid-tournament, he reviewed the team's struggles and made a straightforward decision: start Clark, run the offense through her, and allow her to operate at speed. The results supported that choice. Against New Zealand, Clark's presence opened the floor, created transition opportunities, and generated cleaner looks for teammates. The impact was visible from the opening minutes, as defenders were forced to adjust to her pace, creating easier scoring opportunities across the lineup. Some critics argued that the New Zealand matchup wasn't strong enough to prove anything, but Clark's tournament-long performance told a broader story. Across all 5 games, she led Team USA in assists, plus-minus, and efficiency, while also topping the entire tournament in plus-minus and efficiency among all players. Those numbers included games where she came off the bench, reinforcing the idea that her influence extended beyond any single matchup. Tibbetts continued to lean into the guard-heavy lineup, pairing Clark with Kelsey Plum and Paige Buchers in the backcourt. With 3 capable ball handlers sharing the floor, the offense became more dynamic and unpredictable. Opponents struggled to defend the spacing and pace, and Team USA delivered another convincing victory, this time by 34 points. The offense looked energized, with improved ball movement, better spacing, and Clark operating in open space where she was most dangerous, reading defenses quickly and creating opportunities before opponents could react. This stylistic shift defined Tibbetts' approach, transforming the team's identity and unlocking a more explosive version of Team USA. The shift under Nate Tibbetts wasn't just a lineup adjustment, it was a complete philosophical change. Smaller lineups, faster pace, increased ball movement, and decisions made at speed became the new identity. This approach worked specifically because of Caitlin Clark's unique skill set. She thrives in transition, pushes the tempo, and still makes the correct read under pressure. She can attack the paint, draw defenders, and deliver passes before help arrives. When Clark runs the offense, everything flows more naturally and the entire system becomes more dynamic. Under Kara Lawson, the offense required Clark to adapt to a predetermined structure. The emphasis was on slowing the game down, playing off the ball, and operating within a controlled system. Under Tibbetts, that philosophy flipped completely. The structure was built around Clark's natural strengths: pushing pace, reading defenses quickly, creating opportunities for teammates, and punishing opponents who tried to slow things down. These contrasting approaches produced dramatically different results, and the scoreboard reflected that change clearly. By the final game of the tournament, Clark had moved into the starting lineup, was playing the most minutes on the team, and Team USA was winning by large margins. The MVP discussion was essentially settled. Over the course of the tournament, Clark broke 14 FIBA qualifying records in just 7 days, despite spending much of the event coming off the bench. Her performance became even more impressive when reviewing the tournament game by game. In the opening matchup, Clark came off the bench, played limited minutes, and still broke 5 world records in one night. She recorded the highest assist total ever by a Team USA debutante in a FIBA qualifying game and set additional debut records that had stood for decades. Although Team USA secured the victory, the offense appeared steady rather than dominant. The second game followed a similar pattern, with Clark again coming off the bench while the offense remained slow. Even in limited minutes, she continued to break records. The Puerto Rico game became the turning point. Clark's minutes were reduced, the team struggled offensively, and the system appeared ineffective. Shortly afterward, Tibbetts took over, and the transformation was immediate. Against New Zealand, Clark entered the starting lineup, the offense ran through her, and Team USA won by 55 points. In the following game against Italy, Clark shared the backcourt with Kelsey Plum and Paige Buchers, and Team USA secured another dominant victory by 34 points. By the final game, Clark's role was no longer in question. She started, played the most minutes, and became the focal point of the team. Clark's MVP case became undeniable when examining the numbers. She led Team USA in minutes, points, two-point field goal percentage, free throws made and attempted, assists, plus-minus, and overall efficiency. She also led the entire tournament in plus-minus and efficiency, outperforming every player from every participating country. At just 22 years old, she became the youngest player in FIBA qualifying tournament history to win MVP, a remarkable achievement, especially considering her limited role early in the tournament. The obvious question became what her numbers might have looked like had she started all 5 games. Her performance coming off the bench was already historic, suggesting that a full starting role from the beginning could have produced even more impressive results. Beyond statistics, Clark's impact extended far beyond the court. Television ratings increased, sponsorship discussions intensified, and her international market value became undeniable. Her performance also influenced ongoing conversations surrounding the WNBA's future, including collective bargaining negotiations and global expansion opportunities. This tournament also placed additional focus on Stephanie White, who serves as Clark's head coach with the Indiana Fever. White had supported the slower, off-ball approach during the early games of the tournament. The contrast between those first 2 games and the final 3 under Tibbetts effectively created a real-time experiment. The results were clear, with dominant wins and a far more dynamic offense once the system shifted to Clark's strengths. For many fans and analysts, the coaching change felt like confirmation of what they had been saying all along. The numbers supported their argument, and the results became impossible to ignore. 14 world records, a tournament MVP, and a sudden coaching change all pointed toward the same conclusion. At just 22 years old, Clark's career is only beginning, and with a full WNBA season ahead in Indiana, she is now positioned as the unquestioned centerpiece. Kara Lawson's departure, Clark's record-breaking performance, and Team USA's dramatic turnaround all combined to create one of the most compelling storylines of the tournament. The Indiana Fever now head into the upcoming season with a coaching staff that witnessed firsthand the impact of building an offense around Clark. Stephanie White saw the transformation from the sideline, and the lesson was clear. The fans noticed it, the numbers confirmed it, and eventually, USA basketball adjusted as well.